Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our series where we're talking to alumni that played in the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League. And today we have Jeremy Hazelbaker. Jeremy played with the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks in 2016 and 2017. He had a 258 batting average, 14 home runs, 38 RBIs, and played in 155 MLB games. So, Jeremy, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a good time. You got some questions for me, so I'm excited about that. But it's always fun to get with people and talk about where you came from and what you kind of went through, just your experiences, and trying to help other people along the way.
Yeah, for sure. I think your story will have some similar experiences to a lot of the players in our league. So,
Yeah, a crazy story. So,
well, the first question is just sort of giving us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you played high school and college ball, your Great Lakes team, and your path to the majors, and maybe about your personal life if you feel like it.
yeah. So, I'm from Indiana, small town Indiana, out in the middle of nowhere. Surrounded by cornfields and bean fields and all that. Selma. So that's the name of where I grew up and went to Wapahani High School. Again, tiny school, less than 100 people in my graduating class. So very small school. Barely had enough money for, sports. Didn't have a football team, which blows people's minds. But never played football, never had a team, never went to a game until college. But yeah, so very small town, which it made it, I think, kind of tough to get noticed, but I think it helped me just because I had to work that much harder from the very beginning. I had dreams, aspirations of playing in the big leagues and going and doing great, amazing things. But it was harder for me just because there weren't guys that were playing on the team with me that were a year above me, where scouts were there, or college, coaches were there watching them. So it was tough. It was tough to get a look, to get a shot. But I made it happen and it worked out for me. So that was amazing. In college, went to Ball State. Just had a few offers for college. Ball State, Purdue, Indiana State. Those are pretty much three main ones that were looking at me. So, I wouldn't say that I was the best player in high school by any means. I just had raw talent. I was athletic. I played infield, which is completely different than later in my career. My whole baseball career, after college was in the outfield. So, it was a big change. And a lot of that I attribute to playing summer ball because up to my sophomore year of college, I was playing infield, second base, and for some reason I just had this thing where I little Chuck Knobloch thing where I couldn't throw the ball to first base, so I got benched. So of course I didn't like that, didn't want to be on the bench. So I said to my coach, my exit meeting, I said, what do you want me to do? I want to play every day, next year. I'm going to be a starter for you. I'm going to do whatever I can to earn a spot back. He said, well, I think I'm going to put you in center field or in the outfield. So I said, all right, that's all I needed to know. So went to summer ball, played summer ball, and worked in the outfield. Early work, extra work, played in games in the outfield. I think I might have played a little bit of one game in the infield, but every other game was in the outfield. And came back, earned the starting center field spot, and took off. And that, I never played infield again. Never have ever played infield again. And I attribute that to a lot of the work that I put in during the summer league that I was at. It's a great place to put in work and just to really kind of hone in your skills and know what you need to do.
Awesome. What would you say is your fondest memory that you've had in all of baseball?
Oh, and all of baseball. Well, I had a long drawn out um, minor league experience, I guess. It was more downs than ups. It was a rough one, getting traded, getting released, getting, you know, everything you can imagine, sent down, whatever you can imagine to happen. So I think my fondest memory in all of baseball is the 10 minutes where in 2016, Matheny told me that I was going to be a big leaguer. The last game of spring training, he told me that I was going to make the major league club. And then the next 5 minutes after that, where I called my parents and told them, because of course, my parents were with me the whole way, cheering me on, had my back the entire way. And that was the most gratifying, I think, experience that I got to tell them that, I finally did it, finally made it.
Yeah. What would you say was your fondest memory when you were in the Great Lakes League and playing with the Licking County Settlers?
That was some of just the funnest baseball that I've ever been a part of. So to say one experience, it's tough. The group of guys. So yeah, you'll hear that, my dog barking. Sorry, but just the group of guys that we had together while I was there, for a couple of years, it was unbelievable. And on the many teams I've played on since then, there's been very few teams where there's just such a close knit group of guys. We'd be together before we go to the field. At the field, of course, we're together. And then when we leave, we're together also. So, I mean, the whole time, my first year there, we stayed in dorms on the campus. So it was just, 30 guys or however many were there, just trying to figure out what to do, just us in the dorms, just hanging out in the summer. So I think that was just some of the most fun experiences that I've had.
Gotcha. What part of the Great Lakes League and your time with the Settlers would you say was the most beneficial in helping you get through the minors and eventually to the majors?
Yeah, I definitely say that period where I showed up and said that, my coach wants me to be an outfielder. And, they were all for it. Said, okay, let's go to work. And that's what happened. We went to work. And, it helped that I was fast, but, the coaches there, they helped me with, defensively, everything that I needed, to get better when I showed up, for my college team. And that definitely was, a big thing for me when getting drafted or getting to college first and, showing up ready to go as an outfielder. Because, nothing's given to you in baseball. You got to earn everything. So when I showed up, I had to be ready to go. And I definitely was with the work and the time that we put in while I was there with the Settlers. I was ready to go.
Okay. You kind of touched on being in the dorms with the guys your first year in Licking County. Do you have any particular funny stories from your time with them?
There's a lot of funny stories. Probably not a lot of funny stories that I talk a whole lot about. I do remember, for some reason, I do remember there was one of the funniest things was there was, like at a loading ramp, for some reason outside of our dorm one day there happened to be, it was like a four-wheel dolly that was just sitting out there, like almost like a loading dolly, like a loading ramp dolly or something like that. Me and one of my buddies, just bored, of course, thought it'd be funny if we sat on it and rode down this big hill. And I'm not talking, just a little hill, this big, massive hill. And of course, in your head, things go a lot better than in reality. So, which is absolutely the case here. So, of course, we're sitting on this, we're rolling down thinking this is the, greatest thing since sliced bread. So we're rolling down it. And for some reason, we start veering off to the right. Well, of course, we crash. and we end up crashing into thorns and poison ivy. So here we're, our shirts are ripped up and we have poison ivy, and we probably made some story up, told our coaches that, we were probably helping somebody trim shrubs or something like that, and just got into some poison ivy. But of course we were just being dumb kids. But I think that story, that's the funniest and most fun story that I have. Of course, more goes into that story, but I'll leave it at that. But that's probably the funniest thing that happened while I was living in those dorms.
Gotcha. It's funny what stays in your memory even through those years.
Yeah, it's completely not baseball related. So
yeah, those stick with you though. From a player's perspective, we've got a lot of college players that are trying to get to the minors and eventually to the major leagues. How would you tell them that the professional baseball differs from collegiate or summer league baseball?
I'd really say that with summer league, you're there trying to work on some stuff and just having fun, and it's kind of light and relaxed. But pro baseball, once you get drafted, it's business. There's always somebody on your heels, always somebody that wants your spot, and that's exactly how it works at every level. If you're in Double A, there's somebody that's in High A. They're in the same spot you're at, trying to take your spot. So you can't stop working. You can't stop, doing what you can to reach your goals and max out what you can do in your baseball career. It's, there's a lot of guys that I think get complacent with where they're at and just try to kind of coast. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of guys make, is that, you can't ever be satisfied. Even when you get to the big leagues, they say getting to the big leagues is tough. Staying in the big leagues is even harder. And I can attest to that. I was there for over a year with both teams combined, but unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards for me to stay there for a long period of time. And that's just the way it goes. But to get there, I had to work harder than anyone. I was gifted with a little bit of athletic ability, but I worked harder than anybody to go from the small town in Selma, Indiana, to playing, opening day in 2016 at Busch Stadium. It's a testament to, for me, for where I came from, but it proves that it's possible. It can be done. It doesn't matter if, you are at a high school that's got this amazing facility and scouts are at every game and you have the nicest equipment, or, you barely have enough people to play a game. You got 9 guys that are on your team, and that's who you roll with. And it doesn't matter. It's possible. And that's how it was a lot with us. We had 10, 11, 12 guys, and, we're barely fielding a team, but, we made it work. We competed every day, and that's the biggest thing. You have to compete at every level you're at. In the off season, training, you have to find a way mentally to compete. It's just you training by yourself, or you're training with guys. You have to find a way to compete and just keep that right mindset that you have to have, for your whole entire career.
That's some good advice, and it kind of segues into my last question, which is just what advice would you have for current collegiate players? And given that the times they're facing now with their seasons canceled, is there any additional advice that you would give to those players?
Yeah, I will say that for all the guys that are playing right now and don't know what's going on, is that they're not alone. It's everybody's in this situation. The whole baseball world, the whole baseball family, the whole baseball community, everybody's in this together. Nobody really knows what's going on, what to expect. But, it's not your job to figure out when you're going to play. It's your job to stay ready and be ready when you get that call. And you get a call that says, hey, we're starting on this day. You have to say, all right, I'm ready to go. And you have to, hit the ground running when you show up. That's the biggest thing right now, is that I think a lot of guys, they're just thinking of it as an off season. You got to be putting work in. You got to be throwing. You got to be hitting. You got to be running. You got to be in shape for whatever happens, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's also with your whole baseball career. You never know in pro baseball what's going to happen. You might think something's going to happen. A lot of the time, it's not going to happen the way that you think or want, but you can't change it. You have to roll with the punches. You got to be able to take a hit in the mouth and get back up and keep fighting. You know what I mean? And that'll happen a lot. I got released, went home, didn't know what was going to happen, but I stayed ready, and I came back after a week and a half at home, looking, staying ready baseball wise, but looking for, a real job. And luckily I got a call from the only team that wanted me. Went there, played in Springfield for, Double A in St. Louis, and tore it up. Went to Triple A, tore it up. Next year, invited to big league camp, broke with the team. So there's so much that you can do to stay ready when times are tough, and times are crazy right now. Times are tough for everybody right now, outside of the baseball world too. But you just have to do what you can. You just have to stay ready.
Oh, that's some great advice, Jeremy, and thank you for coming on today and
Yeah,
going back and sharing some of your Great Lakes memories and your MLB experience with us. And we really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
absolutely, man. It's a good time. And I love to do this type of thing. And you guys ever have anything else that I can help with, don't hesitate to let me know.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you very much.